Welcome to the Extraordinary Executives Podcast, where business owners like you share their experiences, insight, and lessons learned. So grab your cup of coffee or tea and get ready for an engaging conversation. Here's your host, Randy Jones.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me again today on the Extraordinary Executives Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Jones, and we have an outstanding special guest today, Mr. Ramon Goings, the owner, founder, and CEO of Done Dissertation. He's got a lot to share. I got a lot of questions, and hopefully it's going to be very beneficial to you. Without any further ado, welcome, Ramon.
Thank you so much, Randy, for having me on. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, no problem, man. Hey, so I guess we'll get right into it. Tell me about Done Dissertation, or better yet, why did you start the company?
So I started this company when I was a doctoral student at Morgan State University. I was going through my doctoral program. I struggled as a writer, and I had some strategies that I implemented to improve. And my professors saw it, and they started to say, hey, Ramon, can you work with my students to help them become better writers? And so I was doing it, and I was doing it for free. And I'm like, people kept saying, you could charge for this, I'm like, all right, cool, that's cool. And so I became, I started doing editing services for folks, charging students to edit their papers. But I noticed as I was going through my doc program, a lot of my students needed more coaching than just editing and technical grammar, syntax, et cetera. And so from there, I said, oh, there's something to this coaching thing, and particularly at the dissertation phase, because just about 50% of people who enter a doctoral program don't finish. It is not because of coursework, it's because of the dissertation process. And so I started coaching folks when I was finishing up my dissertation. And then from there, I just started helping people get through the process. And they were like, why don't you create a business around this? I said, you know what, this actually is a good idea. There's a market here, there's a service, there's an opportunity. And that's how Done Dissertation was born.
Outstanding. So what's your role in it? Are you like more on the operations side, or are you more on the front line as far as finding new people that you can help and coach and things like that? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
So on a day-to-day, I'm a little bit of everything. Sometimes I'm the CEO, sometimes I'm the chief marketing officer, sometimes I'm doing, operations in the background, a little bit of everything. Small businesses, you do a lot, particularly as a founder. But now, I have contractors and employees and folks to help. So now I do more like the front-facing things. We're talking about and promoting the company. I host my own podcast every week to help doctoral students across the country get through. So it's all the things around lead generation, and then also holding workshops. So I do a lot of the front-facing things so that clients know who I am and how I approach coaching. Then I also coach. Once we get our clients, I actually coach them as well. And I have another coach with me now.
Wow, awesome. Often people refer to themselves as the CEO. I say, you're the BBC, the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker.
Everything, man.
So, I mean, you've been having great success starting the company. A lot of people are taking advantage of, what you offer and actually getting their dissertations done and getting their degrees. What do you think contributes to your success? I know it worked for you and people said, hey, this is a good business. But what do you think is, there are a lot of courses out there. What makes you successful at what you guys are doing?
I think one thing is that I'm, my background as a music education and special education teacher. So I approach the company and how to help people through that lens of being a teacher. So I really teach people how to navigate the process. And so I think why I've been very successful is that I'm able to break down things that are very complicated for students in a very simple, easy to understand form so that they can focus on the thing that's most important, is writing and getting their dissertation done. So they're not thinking about all the issues with their chairs and committees and the university politics. I like broken all that down and demystify the process, because a lot of it is very much unspoken in doctoral programs. And I help students really understand the unspoken language and the unspoken rules of the doctoral journey.
Wow. So, I mean, you can't do all of this by yourself. Like you say, you have, employees, contractors, and things like that. And, I think you're a fairly new business, but you're really growing fast. There are going to be a lot of people who are just starting their business and growing really fast. How has it, or what approach have you taken that you found successful when it comes to building your team?
So I think for me, it's like, I'm skilled. I don't consider myself a content creator, but that's really what I do a lot of. And so I know I'm very much a creator, but in terms of the organization and operations, like, I don't have time for that. I want to go make money. So that's, in my mind, that's the stuff I want to do. Whereas the operations side, it's not I can do it, but there's people that can do it way better. So like my wife, Renee, she works in the business, and so she handles a lot of operational pieces because she's very detail oriented, knows how to get everything in alignment, and does all that side of the business because that's her strength. And so, yeah, it's just finding people who complement who you are. And then also sometimes I think some of the best people that you can work with are people who are already around you that have a certain skill set in their job that can be transferable to what you need in your business. So sometimes just being observant of the people around you. So I have a number of friends who I've known for years who actually do the work that in my business that they do for their own job. And so I think it's very much transferable and they're experts at it already.
With everybody being home because of, the pandemic or anything like that. And when you look online, there are a lot of people doing similar things to this. Say, I can help you, 5 steps to this, 7 steps to this, 3 steps to this. How have you guys, with the competition and technology growing and we're not short on information, how have you guys been able to sort of differentiate yourself compared to other people that you can watch a video or something like that? Other people that are doing similar things, not as well as you're doing it, but how have you guys been able to weather that storm, if you want to call it that?
I think one thing is that I pride myself on being consistent. So like consistently people see me online show up. So just for example, over the last, now it's 9 months and counting, I go online every week to do an informative podcast for doctoral students about some aspect of the dissertation process. So they see me over and over and over again. So it starts to build a like, know, and trust factor. And I think if you're trying to build your business, people got to trust you first, because they don't trust you, they're not going to give you any money and work with you to help solve their problem. And then 2, I think in my field in particular, there are a number of dissertation coaches, but where I differentiate myself is I've been very successful as a researcher. So I know the process, not only from the doctoral experience, but also what does life look like after the dissertation is done. And that's where we differentiate ourselves at Done Dissertations. We help doctoral students finish the process and then teach them how to leverage their doctorate for impact and income. So it's not just about the dissertation, it's about what comes next. A lot of my clients want to become faculty members, so we help them make that transition. That's all part of our coaching and our support for them.
Outstanding. Impact and income. I think that's like a huge thing. That's important. All the education that people spend time getting, and then a lot of times they're not able to make that income. They're definitely not able to make the impact. So, I guess based on that, what are some of the challenges that you guys face? You're saying that you're a growing business, successful business, but business has challenges.
Yeah, I think the challenges, as always, is like making sure that your lead flow looks right. So it's just constantly thinking about how can I get in front of more people? Because I know for me, the organic route works really well in terms of when I get in front of an audiences want to work with us, and then that converts. And so in my mind, like, how do I get in front of more audiences to build? And so I'm always thinking about, how do we leverage like other platforms and collaborate with others? That's why I started my podcast interviewing other people, because I was in hopes to get in front of their audience as well. And so it's just kind of figuring that out. So lead generation is always a challenge, I think, for new businesses starting out. Also the operations side of things, because it gets easy to make money, but then they don't tell you about all the growing pains that happen when you actually start to make some money. And so thinking around being strategic on taxes, being strategic on how your company is structured, whether you're like a regular LLC, S Corp, C Corp, all those things that you don't think about, but at some point you start making enough money where you have to consider them, because now you want to keep more profit in the business.
Wow. So you have, I think about the book, The E-Myth, and they talk about people transitioning from a technician to a business owner. And, I can hear it in your tone and hear it in your voice and energy. It seems like you've made that transition easier than a lot of people do. A lot of people mistake that, hey, I'm talented at this, but I can run a company. Like people were telling you, hey, you should start a company. You did it. And a lot of people don't succeed at it. Looking back, saying that you come from an educational background, I think you said, you had a expertise in English and things like that, and you're a researcher. If you were to have a conversation, say it's 10 years ago, and you're talking to the younger Ramon who was just talking about, I'm going to get my education, I'm going to go with the regular 9 to 5, what type of conversation or what would you tell yourself?
I definitely would have told myself earlier, like, you need to really be thinking about how you can start your own business and have your own. It's something about being in a 9 to 5, no disrespect, because I work a 9 to 5, I'm still a college professor, but it's something that job can be gone at any moment. If you don't have anything to fall back on, it could be very challenging in this market. So I think part of that conversation will be like, all right, what's your skill set right now? And what type of skill set do you need to maybe create your own business the way you want it to look? And so that would definitely be one of the things I would have told myself. And then also, I would have given myself more of an investment mindset. I didn't have it really back then, about like, why don't you pay somebody who's already been where you need to go to help you speed up the process? So it's like, is it worth I always say, is it worth spending $10,000 to make 100? And back then I probably been like, man, that's $10,000 I got to make. I got to, put out. But now I'm like, shoot, that's a 10x return. Like, let me go ahead and make that so I can get the work in to get the result.
So, I mean, when people are out there, because I'm sure you have, people often come to me as an advisor and they ask for help. And I often would say, people want help until they get it. So I'm sure you have a lot of people that reach out to you and say, hey, help me complete my PhD or help me complete my dissertation.
Yeah.
Who's your ideal client, or better yet, your sweet spot when it comes to people that you help the best?
My ideal client is someone who is a relatively strong writer and is looking and having trouble with understanding the process. So there's a process happening. A lot of students don't understand it, and that's what's slowing them down from finishing. And then also I'm looking for someone who's looking to make a transition into a higher education of some sort. We specialize in getting folks into faculty positions from their seat as a doctoral student. So those are my ideal clients, and always someone who's looking to execute. Again, I got all the strategy. Our program is comprehensive from beginning to end. But if you're not willing to execute, there's nothing I can do to help you. And so I need someone who's an executor.
I understand it. Not just wants your help, needs your help, would actually take advantage of your help and execute on it.
Indeed.
I understand it. So I guess tell me what's next for you. I mean, you're in the beginning stages of growing a company, and it sounds like you have a mastermind and a ton of ideas that you're going to implement. What's next? And then I guess the second part of that question is, how do you manage all of the ideas that pop in your head? Because I'm sure you're like, oh, I can do this, or I can do this, I can add on this. What's next for you, and how do you manage the new ideas?
It's hard. Like we initially I have an idea. We're going to do a mastermind for folks who are alum of our program, but are looking to then use their doctorate to build their own business. So do something similar to what I'm doing. They want to get into the coaching industry of some sort using their research skill set. But I think I was initially going to start this past year, but we really had to take a step back. And this goes back to the ideas thing. It's like, let's finalize and crystallize what you got going on with your doctoral students, get that running on autopilot, and then add the new offer. So I think for a lot of folks, I know for me, I have ideas galore. So I think it's just a matter of parking a lot of those. And sometimes my wife, Renee, will help me kind of be like, all right, just slow down. Let's hold that. It's a great idea, but let's add that on later. And then I'm always looking for, even in my current program, about what are some things that cost me no money that I could add to the program that provide high value for my client. And we continuously add those to the program. Those things I'm willing, if I have an idea about that, I'm willing to add it immediately. Because I think I want to make it so comprehensive that the offer is like a no-brainer for folks to join. But it's hard though. If you're an idea creator, it's hard because you got ideas all the time. And I didn't think about myself like this, but now I see, I'm like, man, I got so many ideas. I could do a lot of different things.
So, I mean, at some point, I often will tell clients, who come to me that I'm, help manage and advise as far as business owners. We often want to begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
You're at the beginning. Now, for a business owner, 9 months is almost like 9 years. There's so much you've learned and everything. But what does it look like down the future? Where do you think this is headed? Are you going to be on the platform? Are you thinking at some point you're going to like exit the business, sell the model, franchise it? I don't know. What does the future look like for you? What's down the line?
I think the future for me is looking like to license my curriculum out to doctoral programs. So we already have a university partnership program where we provide PD for doctoral students in these university programs. And so I've seen that go really well. And then all the feedback I'm getting from our current clients in the coaching program is like, hey, this curriculum is like really good. And so I want to leverage and package that curriculum to license it. I'm all about making money where I don't have to do all the physical work in that. So that is one strategy I'm looking to do. And then also I'm looking, I don't know about selling, but that could be something. I hadn't thought about that until I had a meeting with another advisor. Like, hey man, what's the end plan? I'm like, shoot, I don't know. I'm just trying to build this thing up. I don't really know. So that could be a route at some point. So I do have a lot of things that I like to do and want to do. And then I think in the future, it's just, growing and helping more students. Like my goal is to help 1,000 doctoral students earn their doctorate. And so that's the goal right now where I'm trying to get to.
Outstanding, man. Well, here, someday you won't be running the business the way that you are. You'll probably be expanding and all those ideas will be implemented. If somebody, now I ask you a lot of questions and I really thank you for being a part of this, because the people who are listening, they're at all stages of running their businesses. I have clients, who, do hundreds of millions in dollars. And some people were just saying, hey, I'm just scratching down my ideas. I asked a lot of questions, but those who are listening, what would be one takeaway or what last thing based on your experience to this point, being on both sides of the fence, what last bit of advice would you give to them?
I would say, and this sounds crazy for some folks, you're thinking about if the idea is not fully fleshed out, but I would honestly say if you want to prove that your thing works, sell it. Try to sell it without it being created. And that's what I did. Initially, I had my program, I had it outlined, but I said, I'm not going to fully flesh it all out until I sell the program. And once I made my first sale, I said, all right, I need to get going because this thing's about to start soon. I got to move. Because I think a lot of people get stuck in like analysis paralysis and they just look and they're like, oh, I got this great idea, but they don't act on it. So my thing is pre-sell what you're planning to do. And that lets you know, is there a market for it? Do people actually value the offer? And then it gives you some instant feedback. And then for other folks, if you're trying to figure out, I'm just getting started, I don't know about my expertise. One takeaway I would say is that work for people for free. Say, put it out there online, say, hey, I'm willing to work with 3 people on whatever it is that you offer for free for the next 3 months in exchange for a testimonial and feedback on what I did. Now with the testimonial, you can use that in your marketing materials and say, I've actually done this. It works for people. Now you go sell it. And so those are 2 things I would say definitely new and even established business owners are trying to start something new. It's like, hey, try this out, sell it, see what happens, and then build it out from there.
Outstanding, man. Well, I can definitely hear the passion. I can definitely see the fire. And I tell you, when it comes to running a business, you need a whole lot of both of those. I think a lot of people just sort of lean on passion. And I say, well, there's got to be a lot of execution behind that. You know, people come to me and say, hey, I'd like to start a business. I say, well, it's a part-time job. Pick any 12 hours you want to work, you know, and you do it. So when people come and say, hey, I just want to be able to control my time, I said, then that's not what you want. You don't want a business. You want
a business. Yeah. You just need to use that PTO time at work. Yeah. This ain't it for that.
Outstanding. Well, thanks again, Ramon Goings, the CEO and founder of Done Dissertation. As you see, everybody, he is passionate about what he does. He makes a profit in his business. He's making a difference in people's lives. 100, or was it 1,000 people that you were trying to help?
Yes.
1,000 people. And he definitely has purpose in front of his profit. Once again, you joined me today, Randy Jones, on Extraordinary Executives. We are talking to Ramon Goings, Done Dissertation, and you know he's an extraordinary executive too. Thanks a lot.
This podcast is for informational purposes only. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by PAS, Guardian, or Financial Growth Partners, and opinions stated are their own. Randy is a registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, PAS, OSJ 11350 McCormick Road, Suite 202, Hunt Valley, Maryland. 21031-410-828-540. Securities, products, and advisory services offered through PAS member FINRA SIPC. Financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. PAS is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Financial Growth Partners is the DBA name of IAPA, LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. 2022 139007 624.